Hello, everybody, and welcome to another adventurous episode of Creatives Chat. I'm Rusty.
I'm Peter.
Peter and I went on an adventure, and Peter, tell everybody what we did.
Ooh, we got a chance to interview some of the organizers and vendors over at the Emerald Spiral Expo, a collection of those that practice the esoteric arts, light workers, healers, astrologers, psychics, you name it. It's really got it all.
All right, everybody, let's go to the Emerald Spiral Expo.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
wearehistorically.com, conscious human apparel, and
learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
Well, what first really brought you to the Emerald Spiral? How did it really? When did you first get your own work involved? When did you really get drawn into this?
In the 90s.
Yeah.
And I had a magazine for a while called what was it called? A Spiral Journey.
Love it.
And so I started Spiral Journey because there wasn't really a whole lot of places for metaphysical people to advertise or write articles or that kind of stuff. So I had a good 60,000, 80,000 distribution. And mostly King and Snohomish counties.
Oh, wow.
And so we had advertisers and articles. And so I did that for several years, and then I did a few expos. And I had an event that I did twice a month called Friends, and it was a restaurant.
Oh wow! Wow!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And she had holistic vegetarian foods and stuff, and so we would bring speakers in that would speak for a little bit, and we had readers that would do readings on the audience, and then they would set aside to do readings if people wanted them, and it was standing room only.
Oh wow!
Every single time. And it was really fun, and I've never found a place to do it again. Otherwise, I would, because it was very successful.
Yeah.
And there were, normal mainstream people that were coming and finding out that friends or people they worked with was into the metaphysical stuff.
Wow!
And you like this stuff, and
right?
So it was very fun.
That's so interesting. That's kind of the natural thing. Is it's kind of a hidden practice. Not many people like to really verbalize it. They don't like to audibly let it out there, let the world know that this is the work that they do and the things that they're interested in. But I feel like there's been a shift, that there's more and more people getting involved.
Yeah, my event, it's amazing how many people, my mother-in-law's friends are coming and bringing friends, So it's like, this is, in fact, my financial guy, who's very Christian, his daughter asked if he could come. If they could come. And it was like, really?
No way. And that's the one thing here is how has the community grown these past few years? Because I know we had the coronavirus, we had things get locked down. You did say March and September, we're in July, so
well,
how did that shift go?
Because we haven't done one since, 2019, September.
Wow.
They had to, cancel, or was it March? I don't remember, it was so long ago.
Right.
And so we haven't really been able to do anything. And when we opened up, I went ahead and booked July.
Nice.
Because I thought hopefully things will open up by then. And September's already, they automatically booked me, so I'm already booked for September. But I thought, I've never done a summer one. And I would like to do a summer one.
Yeah.
And so I booked it, and then the state opened up. I didn't think it was going to happen. And so
lined up perfectly though.
It's like, we can do it. It's like, oh my God, I gotta get ready now.
Yeah, divine timing with it. Well, that's the thing here is in terms of some of these vendor relationships that you've established, how long back have you really known these people that are in this community?
Years and years and years. Yeah, a lot of them I've known for back in early 2000s when I had my magazine and stuff.
Wow.
And, even before that, Lori Aletha, she's 90-something years old, And she's been doing these fairs as long as I can remember.
That's so awesome.
So I used to go to her fairs before I was doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I've known her for eons.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so a lot of people, John Steyerman's been around, and
Oh, yeah.
we were working with him when I started my friend's event. It started in Seattle, and there was bad traffic and road construction.
Yeah.
And I told the guy, if you do it up in Mill Creek, I'll advertise it in my magazine and help you do it. And he's like, no.
Wow.
So I said, well, I'll just do it myself. So we did it, and it was really successful and fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. And again, like when you have this type of crowd gathered, it's always an energy shift. And I think that's one of the things that I observed, even just like walking in the gym. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so light in the area. I love it. Like, so you can really tell that these people that are in here, like, they've been seasoned vets of their craft for a long time.
Yes.
It's really fascinating to see this collection of people.
Yes. They're all different, and they're all great people to work with. And there's nobody grumpy and yelling, or even though everything doesn't go smoothly all the time.
As is life, right?
Yeah. But most of the people, they understand that, and they appreciate, having this opportunity.
Yeah, the flow seems very fluid. Everyone's just like, yeah, it's okay, we'll do it. We'll figure it out. So in terms of moving forward, like we have the September event getting planned and everything. So is that going to be in the same location?
Yeah,
the
it's
same
always
spot?
here.
Okay.
And, if it happens, we're on the calendar, so hopefully it will happen. It's only 2 months away, so
Right.
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's coming up.
A lot of people that didn't make this one are already on the list for the next one. So.
I'm very curious, in terms of your own kind of esoteric practices, what really got you into metaphysics? And
Well, it started with my mother. Both my parents passed away quite young. My mom was 52, my dad was 49. And so I was in search of answers,
Yeah.
And I got into herbal teas.
There you go.
Making my own herbal teas and health and massage, and I was just, especially with the magazine, I got samples of all kinds of,
I got the hookups.
yeah, so I got to experiment and try everything. And then I'm a fanatic with the tarot cards. I mean, I have such a collection.
Yes.
I've got to get rid. There's no room for anything else, and books and astrology.
Oh yeah.
So this is my playground, and
Love it.
my magazine was a way to create community and meet people and experience different things. So
Love it. I mean, I couldn't imagine a better person really just trying to bring everyone back together after, you have someone that's been running it for so long. You kind of step in, take over the new role, but you already have the vibes, you have the energy, you have the network. So that's one thing that's really cool in terms of the kind of up and coming groups. How do you see them building off of what you guys have done here?
Well, Sherry DeShaw back there, she is a great networker, and she's been networking and pulling together other vendors and sharing work. Like Nelson's not here, but he does teas, and she does teas. So they kind of divided the teas up.
Oh, I love it. Don't want to encroach on each other's turf.
Nelson is making the healing teas, and she's selling them.
Oh,
And
wow,
then-
yeah.
And, so they're doing networking stuff, and that was always my dream, is to get people working together and sharing together. And it was really, I used to have a tea house as well.
Doing it all. I love it. I love it.
It was a tea house and event center, and that was my hope for that, for it to be a community place for everybody to share business and work together.
Yeah.
And it just never panned out. And then when I found out they were doing that with this group, it was like, made my heart just expand. It's like, okay, that's what I want to see, us all working together as, a team.
Yeah. And that's the thing here, is really building a community in that compassionate based living, where it's just like, no, we can all support each other, we can all uplift each other. And I think that's the thing that brings the extra magic into like the metaphysical world, is that we're all interconnected when we look at our own internal lookings. We're all interconnected in terms of the different studies that there are, and they just amplify and create a better picture of this great mystery. So it's like, yes, we all have to be on teams with each other.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. And I think that's one of the things here is, I mean, even just in that little interaction with Eileen, it's just like there's just such like love for like building the community and getting more eyes on it. And I think that's the thing that's really fascinating is I see these types of events as the new big festivals that people will be going to. It's like people are starting to really appreciate the musical arts, like the creative arts, and they're also appreciating all this ancient wisdom that is just like now resurfacing like it's brand new,
Yeah, usually it's wonderful. We usually have speakers. We just didn't have time with the stages opening up the end of June, so we didn't put together speakers, but usually we have speakers, and I know a ton of authors that I've worked with and done promotion for, so we'll see if we do that, because a lot of people hate getting up and having to go someplace else for a while.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I think that's one of the things that's going to be really fascinating is moving forward. I know personally, like, this is my first Emerald Spiral, so I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is a thing, like, and I think as more of the youth start getting involved, like, there's a lot of room of just, like, I know, like, myself, for the next one, I'm just like, okay, yeah, I could definitely do something with this and start to network and build a community, because I think that's the energy that's starting to shift now, is everyone is starting to value community again.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I find really cool about this is like, this is a seasoned vet. This is like deeply rooted into the community, and it's so cool to see like it's still flourishing despite everything with the corona.
Yeah, and everybody's really happy to see everybody else again, so it's like everybody's really excited. It's like, oh, we're doing one day. So, well, let's keep that energy going.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, in terms of making things more, I would say, accessible, is there any ideas or any collaborations and networks that we could do to make these more frequent? Because I think something like almost like a metaphysical farmer's market is something that like I'm just like feeling so much here right now.
It would be nice to be able to do it more often, and one of the things I wasn't able to do, because most of these types of people are not technically savvy, because I tried to do, when we closed the last, canceled the last one, I did an online event. And it wasn't that successful. The people that did do it and participate loved it and wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
But most of the people here are not into computers, and they can't do Zoom and all that. So if I had the time and energy, I think a online event happening at the same time. I have a girlfriend in Colorado, and she goes, "Is it going to be online again? Can I do some lectures?" And it's like, no. But because I think that's where we're going next with the virus. We don't know how long this is going to last.
And and when we think about fall and winter, like if things are like this in summer, think about how things usually tend to get worse in those seasons, like there's going to be that need to adapt, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I look no farther than Rusty for that, so I think there's some things that we can get set up with all of that, but I think.
That would be fun, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the concept of just getting more eyes on this type of an event, where there's so many people that I find, I almost want to call it being activated. There's been a lot of light workers and people tapped into this realm for a while that just like have really awoken this deep understanding of themselves, of life. This curiosity is now like really sparked. So it's like, this is a huge calling for people.
Oh yeah, I mean they're having to, make adjustments and shift. They have a lot more time to look inside and see what's next.
So I guess that's the question for a seasoned vet in this sense. How does it feel finally seeing people wake up and appreciate?
It's great. It's great. There's not the judgment there used to be.
Right.
I did this big event out in Los Angeles, and it was a workshop on networking and learning the tools of capitalism. And I decided when I went that I was just going to be me. I'm going to be who I am instead of trying to be, professional and normal. And it was fun because when I would introduce myself as an astrologer or have a magazine, people would, oh, you know what I do? You know what my wife does? We do essential oils, you know? And a few times I would say my name and they would just say, oh, you look like you would be an astrologer or something. I mean, it was like, it was okay for me to come out and be me. So that was kind of my first experience of how everything is expanding and opening up and stuff.
Never ceases to amaze me how many people are actually really tapped into this world. And I don't know if it's the judgments or if it's just the persecution, because there was a lot of negative stigma against a lot of this. I mean, I feel like not too long ago, this would have been like protested by a lot of like religious groups of being like black arts and witchcraft. And it's like, no, this is our intuition.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Emerald Spiral event for July. The door is going to open in 2 minutes. There is a line of people waiting to get in. So
There you go.
be prepared.
That's awesome. They get their fix.
Anyway, a friend of mine, Jan Weiss, she was called the Elephantless Bird. She helped with monkeys and gorillas in Africa and worked with the elephants to get them to try to stop reproducing as their herds were getting smaller. Anyway, and she was also a teacher. She wrote a book teaching the monkey to fly. But when she started out, she was very, very psychic. And when she started out, you know, she was attacked and ridiculed and protested, like you said. So now once we became friends and she was going to be on the cover of my magazine. And it brought up so much fear and anxiety for her that it was the only issue I ever had where the picture was overexposed. And they had to reprint the whole thing. And we know she created that because of her fear of not wanting to be exposed. And so I thought that was really interesting how that manifested itself. So.
We fast forward a few years and see like an open event, people outside the door waiting to get in.
Yeah, we had to start closing the doors because people would actually sneak in here and make appointments with psychics before the doors open. So
oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Fun.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure. I know the door's about to open, so we'll let you get back to your job.
My husband helping do all the setup and stuff, and
love it.
He's an author, and my brother there is helping. So thank God for them. I don't know what I would do. But this is fun.
Thank you so much for being on Creative Chat. We'll
Thank
have
you
to
for
have you
asking
back
me.
on in the future, though.
That would be fun. Okay, back to work.
Right?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Carlene, why don't you tell us, how did you get involved with Emerald Spiral?
Well, I'm going to have to go back to when I was a child. Kind of a long process, but at the age of about 2 or 3, I could see spirit. Wow. And it scared the holy living crud out of me because, you know, you're a little kid and there's all these in your bedroom and, you know, and I just kind of grew up with it. I never did tell my parents.
Wow.
My parents are very well educated, very level-headed, wonderful people, but I knew if I had said something that would have been, oh, it's your mind playing tricks on you, and I knew it wasn't. So I just kept it to myself. So I happen to have been over this direction, because I live in Ellensburg, visiting a cousin, and we all went out to dinner, and there was a woman sitting at a booth who was a medium. And I walked by her, and I turned around, and I walked back, and I sat down, and I said, okay, we got it. And she and I have been friends ever since, and this has been 8 years ago.
Wow.
So with her help and tutelage to help me understand myself, my abilities, my gifts, she and I have remained friends, and she introduced me to Emerald Spiral. She says, you've got to do it, you've got to try it.
Yeah.
So this is my 4th one.
No way, that's so cool.
This is my 4th one. So.
So in terms of the experience, growing up, having these abilities, not really being able to talk with anyone about it, how did it feel when you actually like found a community that was just like, yeah, this is normal?
It was, you know, really, it was quite a relief because I finally told my parents 5 years ago.
Wow.
I'm 54. I don't mind saying that. But, I've gone my whole life keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
And I told my parents. And the first thing my mom did was turn to my dad and say, well, that would explain some of the stuff she said when she was a kid. Because I would say stuff.
Yeah, it's like you should know that.
Well, it was like let's say we'd visit an elderly friend in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I would turn to my mom and I'd say, their wrinkles are gone. They're going to die in about a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And as a child, even now as an adult, I see that. Their wrinkles would be gone. I would see them without wrinkles.
Yeah.
And that was...
They're transitioning back into the spirit fully.
Absolutely. And sure enough, it would, yeah.
Wow.
So, and I just never discussed it.
Well, and see, that's the thing that for me is just the mental fortitude to be able to distinguish and keep the realms separate while you're living must have been very challenging. And
it was, as a child, I would cover my face and so I don't want to see, I don't want to see, I don't want to see, and I stopped seeing.
Yeah.
It was like they were like, okay, you're fine. We won't bug you with this till later. I lived my life, and yes, every once in a while I would know things, but it wasn't like forefront. I had to live my life. I had to get through school. I had to have a child and get married and whatever. And as I got older, and it wasn't until I was in my mid-40s that it finally came full force and came knocking on my door and said, either you need to embrace this and do something with it or not. And I chose yes.
So in terms of this catalyst, what brought it all about? When was that moment where it was just like, okay, this is like left or right, you got to choose?
Things started to happen. For example, driving down the road, going home, I would get, slow down, there's going to be an animal on the road. And I'm like, you're talking to yourself, Carlene, stop being stupid. I go around the corner. Little things like that would start to happen that made me think, okay.
Let's reevaluate this whole experience
Well,
thus
I
far.
need to start. And then things would happen in the house.
Yeah.
I'd hear knocking. Someone's trying to get my attention, knocking on the windows, knocking on the walls. Things would be moved, and I'd notice it, and it would be moved for me to notice.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, and that's, enter my friend Linda, and things just kind of fell into place as far as meeting her, and then, she's been a medium for 50-some years, and so, she's been my mentor, my teacher, and helped me understand things, and so, yeah.
That's so cool.
Just helped form my, and she has completely different abilities than I do. I've got a daughter. It does run in families. I've passed it down to my daughter. She has different abilities than I do.
Oh, wow.
It's an individual thing. So, yeah it's fun.
See, and that's the beauty of it, though, is that we all tap into source in our own unique fashion.
Right.
And in terms of your connection with spirit, with the different realms or dimensions, however people want to see it, what's your experience like?
I don't see them with my eyeballs. I see them in my head. But when I first started this and I was new at it, I saw them in sepia tones. You know how the old pictures used to be in sepia?
Yeah.
As I got better at it, then they started becoming in color.
Wow. So once you really flexed the muscles, started getting it like into the forefront of your mind, started to practice.
Well, practice.
Yeah.
And the more I did, and it's a great thing, and the more you do, the more you open up, the brighter your light shines, the more you attract not only the good, but the bad as well. And you got to deal with that, and have the ability and the skill to know what's good, what's bad. The yin and the, there's always good and there's always bad.
Yeah.
With the good there's a bad, and you have to just know how to deal with that.
Yeah. Protect yourself, the different aspects of your own routines and rituals to kind of cleanse your spirit.
Absolutely.
So I guess what would be some words of advice for those that, because there's a lot of people that I feel are waking up. There's a lot more people getting activated and powers and abilities.
And there's lots of speculation as to why that's happening now.
Right.
Okay. Why that veil between here and there is, I'll
thinning?
Maybe softening or thinning. Say it. And there's a lot of people have a lot of reasons why. But everyone's got a little bit in them.
Yeah, 100%.
I know that my job on this planet in this lifetime was to do this.
Oh, I love it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So everyone's got a little bit of intuitiveness in them. It just depends
100%.
upon if that's what you were supposed to do with it. And B, it's that gut or that sixth sense that everybody has that you listen to or not. Okay?
Right there, yeah.
And so it's everyone's got something.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it though, is I feel that, I mean, you tapped into it from what it sounds like, is once you really commit to your heart, like this is what I want to do, I want to figure this out, that curiosity, divine timing just lines everything up, and it's just like, all right, here you go, you want it, let's go.
Yeah, and a lot of time it's either use it or lose it.
Right?
No, it's honestly, and that's kind of what it gets to that point.
Yeah.
You do this or you're not, and if you don't, you might have issues with things later. And so, and I really, and the reason I do what I do is to help people.
Yeah.
Literally, it's to help people, because when people say after they are usually it's grieving people. Sometimes it's family secrets. No, I do not know the lottery numbers. No, I don't read people's minds. Good Lord, why would I want to?
Right.
I get asked that though about how, if you're so good, how come you don't know the lottery numbers? I'm like, that isn't why I do this. But it's to help people. It's to and if I can help someone lighten their load, feel better about the load that they're carrying after they've lost someone. Happy to do it, want to do it. I can't even describe the feeling. The feeling is so wonderful when someone gets up and hugs me and says, thank you, I think I might be able to sleep now at night.
Right.
Or I feel much more at peace.
Yeah.
It's all worth it.
Well, it's like you offer them this validation, you offer them the extra push, because I feel like it's a lot of, especially with the intuitive realm, like there's a lot of things that we just know, and we've known them since kids. It kind of gets like washed away or covered up, but we, in our heart, we know, and we're always yearning for this deeper connection that
that's in everybody's soul. That's your soul. And
I love it.
And I get a lot of people will talk about their soul, and I'm going to go and have this person work on my soul, and I'm like, no.
It's not
your
how it
soul
works.
Is yours. It's you and God.
Right.
Yeah. Your soul that's yours. Don't let anybody mess with it. It's not for them to mess with.
Yeah. Don't give away your free will.
No.
Well, here's something that I'm curious about, because what you're allowing others to tap into something that is so powerful, because it offers them this peace of mind. And knowing that there is something beyond just this physicality, I think, is one of the most powerful things. And it's always, I can tell there's a little something different where it was just like, oh yeah, that's a person who knows, because there's just this fluidity that you just carry, in that sense of just like the trust. I guess I could say it's the utmost trust in life.
Yes.
And that's the coolest thing that you see from those who are tapped in, because it's just like, because you're always supported, you're always assisted, you're always connected.
Absolutely. It's all energy, rocks, trees, everything. It's all energy. People say, go hug a tree. Well, try it. I mean, don't be.
Listen, see what it says.
Yep. I'm sensitive enough where I can pick up a stone. There's a lot of vendors here that have, stones. The natural, not so much the ones that are tumbled and polished, but the raw stones. I can pick up one and feel an energy from that, a vibration or a heat or something. Not everyone can, but I do. Not every stone, and usually those that I connect with or feel something, I'll probably take home with me. I have lots of stones and rocks in my house, but that's just it's energy.
It takes a shift, and that's really cool in the sense of the developments that happen in terms of where you're going with this, in terms of your mediumship. How's life developing? How's things been with like the lockdown? I've had some in-person readings, like people will come to my home, but I've done lots and lots of phone readings. Because I can connect, on the phone with someone and do all energy. Doesn't matter.
Right. Well, to me, people, I'm just a telephone. I mean, I'm just the messenger. I get the information. It's just like talking on the phone. That game telephone.
Just relay it.
That's right. That's all I am. I'm just a telephone. So I've done lots of, during COVID, lots of phone readings because people couldn't get out and they still needed and wanted, especially if people lost a loved one during COVID.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and are they okay? Did they, they couldn't go see them in the hospital as they passed because of the strict, and that's been very difficult for some people, understandably so.
Yeah.
So, it's I've had a few of those. But then with people having time on their hands, people started digging into ancestry. Then there's
Yes.
roles in family. Then I get family secret questions.
Which is a huge thing.
And it is. And, and it's funny because the spirit doesn't always want to share stuff.
Right? See, that's
they
the
take
thing
it
you
to
run
the
into.
grave and they do it for a reason.
Yeah.
And so it's I just deliver what they say. If they don't want to talk, hey, sorry. They don't want to
love
share
it.
that part,
I love it.
And so
Yeah.
and some people it's helped them, put things together. But, when we pass on, we don't automatically become the most angelic, wonderful, great, this. If we're kind of a jerk here, sometimes, I've gotten spirit on the other side that someone, for example, would come and sit down and I would like to talk with my Uncle Joe. And Uncle Joe comes through and goes, nope. And I'm like, bye. He doesn't want to.
Interesting, yeah.
If you had a beef with them and now you're wanting to connect and try to make things goody two shoes,
yeah.
sometimes it doesn't always happen that way.
And they still got to process on their end what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's they're always learning, even on the other side. You don't stop learning. You do not. We never stop learning.
I love that. And I guess we'll close with this in terms of those aspirants out there who feel this deeper yearning, that they just know that there's something more.
Right.
How would you encourage them to really tap in with their higher self, their ancestors, their guides?
Everyone's got guides.
Yeah.
Some have 2, some have 4, some have 6. Everyone's got them. But what I would suggest, to contact someone like myself, it doesn't have to be me, but someone like myself, and have them help you with that.
Yeah.
Shut your eyes and ask in your head or out loud, I'd like to get to know who my guides are, and whatever, and it might take you 2 or 3 times, but whatever name pops into your head, go with that.
Yeah.
Just and it doesn't have to be Bill or Susie, or it could be a flamboyant name. It doesn't matter, because guides are all different kinds.
Yeah.
I've got lots of different guides for lots of different parts of my life that lead me different.
Yeah.
And it's a tag you're in. Okay, I've gotten her through this part. Now it's your turn, and I'll get a new guide for the next chapter.
Wow. Yeah.
So everyone has them. So
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. You just gotta try.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming
you're
on
welcome.
Creative
Well, thank
Chat.
you. Thank
We'll
you.
definitely have to check out everything going on here today, but it's so exciting to see this many light workers and kind of healers and people tapped into spirit.
Yeah, this is great, and I'm glad there's lots of people here, because I figured it was going to be feast or famine, and I was hoping that now that we can get out and do things, that people would break out and want to come and do it. So I'm glad.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Love it.
And ready when you are.
So, Beverlee, welcome, and thank you for coming on Creative Chat.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, what brings you to Emerald Spiral?
So I make custom jewelry, wire wrapped and silversmith jewelry. I also source all of the stones myself, and I cut and polish all of the stones myself too. So I'm a lapidary artist as well.
That's so cool. Where do you
Yeah.
actually get most of your stones from?
Here in Washington State, believe it or not. Yeah. So Washington has most of all of the gemstones. You can even find turquoise here. You have to
What?
stabilize. Yeah, it's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you
What?
can dig for crystals, right? I've got buckets. Seriously. So yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah, right
so
here
cool.
in Washington.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fascinating.
fantastic.
Well, when did you get into crystals and jewelry making?
So 2 years ago, my husband and I own a franchise, and
Nice.
we decided that we were working too hard. All we did was work and clean house. So my grandparents used to own a rock shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I said, we need a hobby. So he bought me some rock hounding tools for my birthday, and we've never looked back.
That's so awesome.
Just kind of grown from there.
So Great Birds on a rock shop, that's kind of like, it was almost set in stone early, no pun intended in that sense, but really early on, like this influence was just almost that deep calling.
6. Yeah, absolutely.
That's so fun. Well, in terms of just working with different crystals and stones, what has been one of those more kind of like intangible, intuitive, eye-opening experiences? Just like, oh wow, there's something to all of this, and the energies and the vibrations of it all.
So the days that I work with like rose quartz,
Yeah.
like I'm grinding rose quartz, right? I'm breathing rose quartz dust, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay? I have the most fantastic days, those days, right? So there is something to that. I mean, I have found that like if I wear certain stones, I can see where the properties. I can like, for instance, if I wear my blue tiger's eye crystal earrings, right? I have greater clarity on those days. So I wear them quite a bit. Not today because I lost them. Have to make some more.
Right? But that's the beauty of doing things with your hands, is you just make what you want.
So I make all my jewelry now. So everything I wear, except for my diamond ring. Yeah.
That's so interesting. And have you noticed, other than just those days when you've worn certain stones, that even just forging and finding the stones, that there's just always some type of like deeper spiritual, just like,
Absolutely.
oh, ooh.
Yeah. So you hear the angels sing when you find a big crystal, right? I mean, you hold it up and it's like, oh my God, I found this thing and it looks so perfect, you know?
Yeah.
And then if you find like a thunder egg, right? Okay, so those are kind of fun to find. But the most fun is when you take them home and crack them open, right? So you take the hammer and you crack it, and then you find all these wonderful things inside.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's just from there you can just do all sorts of things with it.
So the most, let's say, the most mystical experience when you're out in nature looking for stones, was there one that just really stands out, that it's just like, it's like Jumanji, like you can just feel it calling you, you're like, oh, I gotta go here.
So I do take my pendulum, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I was just gonna ask you about that.
So I take my pendulum and I hold it out, and I will find certain stones that I tell it I'm looking for.
There you go. See, dowsing is so powerful, especially for that.
Exactly, right. Yeah.
That's so cool. How did you even get into that and being like, well, this is my new...
My dad used to do it.
That's so fascinating.
So we grew up in the country, right? And all this stuff is kind of folklorish, right? Mm-hmm. My dad could take a twig, like a triangle twig, right? A branch and he could find water. He could take it out and he would hold it around, and all of a sudden it would go boop, and there's water there. Yes. Yeah, it is freaking awesome.
See, this is the reason why it's like, you know, people see this as like the woo-woo, but you know, I've actually been doing different experiments with some of my clients, doing little mini dowsing sessions, and just showing them, I was like, yeah, well, let's grab all your crystals, grab all the different things, and we'll start to test them. And with the pendulum, you can just see the spin, and it's just like anything that's taking in the energy, the counterclockwise, I'm just like, so you're moving the stones, I'm just holding myself still, and you're seeing it react, and it's just this, there's more to this.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Exactly. Right?
So have you had this experience with people, just showing them just like different tips and tricks and be like,
I can. They kind of go, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, but it's a good party trick.
Right.
Right, but I think that it's becoming more mainstream now.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and
definitely.
people are more accepting now. So the more accepting you are, right, the more you're going to see. So
yeah, and the more it opens up, the more life just starts to give you these opportunities to experience.
And it just flows. Yeah.
Now, growing up out in nature, right?
I did,
So I think this is really the key of the origin behind everything with the stonework, is that you were tapped into spirit at a really young age with all these deep...
I got called at 8.
Wow.
Yeah. I knew when I was 8 years old that I did not belong in a church. I belonged outside.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt the goddess call me at 8. And I knew it. I knew I was not like other people. Like, right. Yeah, well, I've got my tribe since then, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew that.
That's so fascinating. Now, in terms of the pendulum and the dowsing work, when you're out in nature, what's your usual protocol? Is it just like pull up to a random area and just like...
Just very organic, right?
Yeah,
You just kind of go out there and you're like, there's no special words that I say. There's no like special ritual that I do. It's more like I talk to the rock like I'm talking to you, right? Hey, pendulum, can you show me some cool stuff today? You know, are you with me today? It'll swing, right? And then it'll say, hey, I want to find some jasper today. Can you lead me to some jasper? Lead me to some jasper.
See, that right there, though, is honing the intuitional abilities that are just naturally innate within us. So it's like the more you practice it, you found that it's just gotten like way
Just like
more
a muscle,
accurate. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, in terms of everything kind of progressing now, like what's it been like just kind of transitioning back into things opening up? Like because I feel like mostly people just transitioned like online stuff these past like year.
I did the same thing. I actually got into this right as the pandemic started, right? So my first silversmithing class got canceled because of the pandemic, and it was on my birthday.
Oh no!
March 21st of whatever, 2020. Yeah. So I taught myself.
There you
from
go.
YouTube, right? And
Love it.
I'd already been wire wrapping, and we'd already been looking for stones. So I am excited that everything's. So this is my first show.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
This is my first show, so I'm just like, hey, this is awesome to see. Like,
Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited.
see, now this is the thing that I'm really curious about, because in terms of like how things are progressing in the future, a lot more people are waking up to just the validity of crystals and just the energies that they hold and that they emit and the different aspects it brings you. Is there any plan for just like more pop-up aspects for yourself, just pulling up somewhere and just like...
So you know what the ultimate goal is?
Yes, I want to know.
An adventure van down by the river, man.
Yes!
I sell my jewelry on the roadside, travel around from town to town, wherever the rocks take me, and make jewelry and just live my life.
I love that, wherever the rocks take me.
That's right.
Yeah, because then again, like, you just think about the country aspect. There's so many areas that have so many different gemstones.
Oh
and
my
just
gosh,
so many
so
different crystals.
Montana, smoky quartz crystals. This big that you just pull out of the ground.
What?
That is a mystical experience, let me tell you, because they come out perfectly formed.
Yeah.
Right? So they have all of the angles and the planes and the points.
Wow.
It's really cool. It's super cool. I mean, that's just, like, I can't wait to get there. And then Montana, you can dig for sapphires, and Colorado, you can dig for all sorts of other things. It's just, Oregon, oh my God, has the best jasper in the world. It's really, I mean, you can go to every state and there's something.
And see, that's the beautiful, the reality of it is that there's just ancient knowledge and wisdom and history and just beauty just at our feet.
Yes.
All the time.
All we have to do is remember what it was.
I love that.
We can remember whenever we want to. We just have to remember.
So I'm curious, so what other intuitional types of vibes have really just kind of unfolded since you committed to this? Really what it almost sounds like, that heart mission, where you're just like,
Yeah, I guess. So I used to be really involved in the Wiccan world, the community. And then I kind of organically dropped out, kind of, just came to myself for a while. But it's leading me back, right? It's leading me back into my spirituality. It's leading me back into the things that I took comfort in before. Yeah. So I'm super happy.
Just a newfound recognition of just like the beauty of it all.
Old ways, right?
Yeah.
It's a re-remembering.
And see, that's the spiritual path right there. Now, in this re-remembrance, is there anything that just clicked that you're like, wow, I've been on this path. I've known that this was what I was going to do even since I was young.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of that remembrance, right? So you get kind of caught up in the day-to-day world, and you forget your spirituality from time to time, and that's normal. But then when you find a rock like that, and it reminds you of what is in the earth and what the earth can bring you, and the joy and the happiness, all that stuff that goes along with it, right? It's I don't know, it just makes my day more magical, I guess, right?
I love it. I love it. Well, and then I guess this is your first show. How's the rest of the summer looking?
I'm gonna do Emerald Spiral again next month, I think, in August, and then in September, so I'm super happy. It looks like things are gonna go well, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting.
I'm excited.
Well, I guess the last question I have for you is, in terms of your deepest connections with the stones themselves, which one is or which ones are the ones that really call to your spirit?
Moonstone. I think everybody gets called to Moonstone because it's just so beautiful. And just plain agate, because agates can come in any shapes and sizes. It's a banded agate, and it's the best for protection. So, and they're so beautiful when they're in the sun. I just love them.
I love it. Well, Beverlee, thank you so much for coming on Creatives Chat. This has been so much fun. Yeah, and I can't wait to see the Down by the River.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Down by the river, man.
That's gonna have to happen.
It is gonna have to happen. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you.
All right, thank you, Beverlee.
You're welcome.
We'll check out the jewelry.
All right.
And that wraps up part 1 of our adventure at the Emerald Spiral Expo. Tune in for part 2 as we interview more vendors, check out more of the expo itself, and as always,
roll the outro. That concludes this episode of Creatives Chat. Thank you for watching. Join us every Thursday at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Daily Time as creative minds get together and chat about who knows what. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to our sponsors for making this show possible. Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always. And subscribe to be notified of future episodes.
yeah, perfect.